us move on to the panel discussion for the first panel discussion of the day. It is ESG and Government Synergy.
Achieving long-term sustainability requires seamless alignment between corporate, environmental, social, and governance commitments and government policy. Please welcome our panel moderator and distinguished speakers to the stage.
Now, welcoming the first moderator, Mohammad Sharfoddin Shareef, Senior EHS Sustainability Professional. Our first speaker in the panel would be Kalpana Ramesh, founder at the Rainwater project.
Next is JSR Annamayya, IEC, Pan-India Head at Ramky, Sustainability. Nitai Jivana Das, Chief CSR Officer at Iskcon.
Okay, so we have today with us a very distinguished, panelists here, and they all are, achievers in their own field. So today when I talk about sustainability, while we wait for one more guest, I think probably we may be able to make it. So I was just, we all are here from the different corporates representing and different spheres of the life, in the audience, and the students are also there, I can understand. So basically, we are talking about Mother Earth. Exactly. I'll quote, I was in a sustainability conference from CAI. I'm very honored. I am the senior assessor from CAI. So the Vice Chancellor of Anna University, he was the chief guest and the keynote speaker. He started with the saying that the Mother Earth, we all call Earth as a Mother Earth, right? So Mother Earth is a sink, S-Y-N-C, sink for all the SINS for the humanity. It's a very big statement, right? So the business leaders, to put the context of the ESG session today, I take you to the business leaders every year in the Davos they assemble, right? To talk about the various risks and the business strategies in Davos in the January every year, right? So I'm quoting them, the 1,450 leaders are, they all told us what are the top 5 risks associated with the globe. So if I had to quote them, every year till 2024, 2025, except 2025 where the geopolitical risk is, because of the recent conflicts and all. So the climate action failure or the climate risk is one of the major risks the entire globe is going through presently. We all have failed our planet, to be very frank. We have failed. The Mother Earth, as I speak to you today, you know that we are using more than 1.75 Earth. You might ask, what is that? The Earth, it has got a regenerating capacity, we all know that, right? So every year, you use a lot of things. Every year we want a phone, new phone. We need some natural resources, right? Silica and everything, right? We want cloths, everything, everybody is doing that. Industrialization is. So every year, you extract a lot of natural resources from the earth. And Mother Earth generates back. No questions asked in 1971, not now. Today, as I speak to you, because of it continues to strain itself and deliver, you are asking more than 1.75 Earth as of today, as I speak to you. If the extraction, the misuse or the abuse of the natural resources goes like this, we need 2 Earths. I don't know where we'll get. Still, we are exploring Mars. So that is with that, and so that's the reason we need to all, of course, the business also, as I speak to you, Chennai is, I'm just recent floods in Chennai 2023. All the IT companies have, we have submerged. Extreme weather conditions, extreme heat. As per the NASA, 2023 and 2024, the warmest years, hottest year, not warm. So I have to put that context here and then bring that, So with that context, as a ESG, why we are talking about that? It's no more a boardroom discussion, ESGs. Today, the environmental, the stewardship is taken a front seat, and the business, as we all know that, the businesses are there for, profit maximization. But today we all also report the sustainability aspects. The Gen Z, as per the Boston Consulting Group, Gen Z, they are interested, more than 75% people they would like to join a company which is more responsible towards their country, toward their, the globe as a whole. How much they are sustainable. Today, as I speak to you, even the sustainable finance, the cap and trade mechanism, because the pollutions have gone to a place where we are at the anthropogenic emissions have taken to the roof. We require greenhouse gases, right? We all require, you all have studied in the school, right? To keep ourselves warm, we do require greenhouse gases, let me tell you. But then you may say, why are we trying to mitigate all this show? Because of the very fact the human-induced emissions, the man-made emissions, what we call, that's called anthropogenic emissions. They are the ones which are creating an havoc. So to control that, that's the reason the carbon accounting because of this, the greenhouse gas effect, what we call is the global warming, right? We all know that the global warming is happening. So to have that, because of that, all the facets, you can see that whether it is US or whether in Australia, the extreme weather conditions, we can find that. So we need to do a business responsibly. We need to account the carbon. I'm not saying we cannot stop the industrialization, right? But we also need to do business in a more sustainable way. That's why the United Nations has given a target to be net zero by 2050. So, but we said every country has got their own challenges. So India said we can be net zero by 2070. That's correct, right? So China said they can be net zero by 2060. And US said, of course, they are polluted already kind of thing. So they said they will be net zero by 2050. So every organization has to, work towards that. As I speak to you, the land of Telangana is one of the states which has given the vision document for 2047. You all are agree that. And this will be the first state, I want an applause here, to want to become net zero by 2047 and 100 years of, our centenary celebrations. That spirit we have to work on. So with that, I'll start. So carbon mitigation, yes. And I will take a little bit carbon, then I have water experts, and we have a use case. Iskcon, you all know that, right? I mean, we know that they are there for years. I mean, they are celebrating 60th year. This year, as I speak to you, they are celebrating 60 years. It's not only the purest form of temples, it is also more than temples. We will talk about that. They are so many, working with the villages, working with the roots. We will talk about that also. So the climate mitigation, when I talk about, I will start with the carbon. Carbon mitigation is one of the most important. Today, as I speak to you, the corporate real estate emissions, I mean, we all talk about buildings, the real estate emits almost 39% carbon emissions, right? And we have a waste expert. The overall waste, the emissions, the methane emissions are more dangerous. Some of the science students will know the methane is 28 to 30 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide. Okay, so though the global waste emissions are only 20%, but they are very, very crucial. We'll talk about, we have a waste expert here today. He's JSR Annamayya. He's in a leadership there, team, and we'll speak about, and also a climate clock. Today you will come to know about the time is ticking, guys. Time is ticking. He will talk about that also. Okay. So yeah. So what without doing any ado. So maybe I can start with Annamayya. Can you just talk on the waste emissions, 20% waste emissions, not that and then also on the clock which is ticking on all of us. I just request you to speak on that. Yeah.
So good morning to each and every individual. Thanks to the moderator. Thanks to the co-panelist. All the standing protocol members here. I'm very fortunate to speak some real truths which are very important, which are missing in our daily life. My dear friends, from all the corners over here, tell me how many people heard about the terminology called climate clock. Please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Now you can understand. There is a clock representation by UN in 2020. Within a span of next 2 years, 362 days, there is a temperature rise of 1.5 degree. It's a clear cut of evidence line. I hope you see this clock, which is available on your web page. Now, it's a direct question to each and every individual. What is your contribution to reduce the carbon? When you are going to the malls, people are attracting buy one, get five free. If you go to any shops, attracting with the combo offers. In a Hyderabad, in the cycle of 24 hours, Hyderabad will generate 11,000 tons of waste every day. Do you believe? It's a very toughest job for the municipal administrations to handle the waste. Now, in the similar way, we are seeing the heat wave in this last summer. How many people are treating waste as a dignity? Can you please raise your hands? Today, I am working with many municipal administrations, I'm working with Swachh Bharat mission. Every house will generate 450 to 750 grams of waste every day. But unfortunately, we are turning very bad. The life expectancy of a municipal worker has been dropped down from 53 to 48 years only because of the disposal what we are doing. We used to mix the wet waste, we used to mix the dry waste, syringes, diapers, whatever though. Even though any glass is broken, least bother, putting in the bin and throwing. Now, please understand, India generates more than 400 million tons per day. It's all about responsible consumption should start from every individual. Today morning you are coming from one place to here. Do you having your steel cutlery? No. We are coming from the one place to here. Are you opting any public transport? No. Every indicator will directly and indirectly reach to the carbon offset. The ultimate solution is simple living. So, representing Ramky Sustainability and Ramky Foundation, but waste is going to handle with the support of municipal administrations by us. We are generating more than 40 megawatt of power from the garbage you throw every day. By the vision document of Telangana Rising, we can clearly say by 2047, Telangana should be the methane neutral. For that, we are setting up a 200 megawatt of waste to energy plant. When keep on reaching to households to say about waste segregation, you know what are the answers we are getting? Ippudu gaadu nu tarvatra. Worker వచ్చి, when they are asking for one glass of water in the households, you please go and ask in the next house. If I ask you the question, in your mobile phone, how many contacts are there who are the daily cleaners in your area? We are very unfortunate to say. Reason being, they all are treated as a dignity only on the Labour's Day. Change the perception of thought, reduce the waste you generate every day, try to balance it. Whenever you are coming out, make sure a habit to carry your own bag. By the CSRNOW summit, let's commit with a simple action. Carry your own bag, it has to be always attached with you. Step 1. Like Sir has mentioned the concept of ESG. It was coined in 2004. In my perspective, ESG always connected, E for ecosystem, S for society and G for the generations. Sir, people are suffering a lot due to the heat waves. Please understand, to become a carbon neutral of each and every individual, we need to plant 6,000 plants, every individual. Now question to you, like where we are standing, with a global coalition, with all our support, ensure a less footprint Hyderabad with all our hands and seeing the sense of responsibility with a human behavior shift. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That was a great, overview on the waste management. And also you also understood about the climate clock, right? The time is ticking for all of us to be within that 1.5 degrees centigrade, because what happens, you might ask, if we cross the global earth crust temperature, the average temperature crosses above the pre-industrial level. So what will happen? Some of the countries may not be there. That's what, even the Maldives may not be there. I'm just telling you, and Mumbai and all will have, so much of severe storms and all and the flooding kind of a thing. And of course, extreme weather conditions, all other indices are already, visible, clearly visible. So that's the reason we all are working. Every company is taking the science-based targets. Today, as I speak to you, the carbon mitigation program, not only the overall energy efficiency program, which we all take, but also the water stewardship. If you know that today, India is in a wrong company. You are all aware of that? In terms of water, we are around, population-wise, we are 18% of the global population, and we only have 4% of the usable water. Just imagine there are going to be water wars, and there is so much which we need to be doing. Not that water is not available. We do not know how to store, how to utilize, or rather we are being taught, but problem is that we are not being scientifically taught. There may be some case studies which you have seen in your school days, but never the conservation in our minds when it comes to usage. And we have today, I'm very, very honored to have Kalpana ji here, who has done wonderful work on these water restoration projects, and her work speaks for herself. You must be knowing. Kalpana ji, just I wanted you to speak more on it.
Thank you so much. I completely agree with whatever you've said. It's so true that behavior change is the one thing that has to change. Every climate clock will come back to order with this. This is the one thing that we have been struggling against. When it comes to water, everyone talks about the waterfall from flyovers. Today, everyone is talking about data bank centers and the kind of water that it's going to extract. But who is talking about what have you done in your own home? What have you done in your own community, in your own school, in your own office, in your own organization? This is what is behavior change. It's actually not so technical when it comes to water and water conservation. The first step is simply common sense. Common sense understanding of how much we consume, what can we give back, what can we restore. We get so much water from the river. We get in the range of 585 mgd, which is million gallons of liters, into the city from Godavari, Krishna and rivers, which is our food security of tomorrow. How many of us are really bothered about Manjira water being used in flushes? You're flushing away river water which comes to us. The farthest point is about 190, 200 kilometers. We get it from 70 kilometers, 120, 180, 170, and then also 200 kilometers. And all of these sources are very, very valuable for the planet, for the larger vision. But how as a city, not just Hyderabad, every other city is erasing a river in multiple ways. But why can't we become sustainable? We are blessed with huge amount of rainfall in Hyderabad. So as a water warrior working for 15 years on ground, I can definitely say this, we don't have water scarcity, it's a created problem. We don't know how to manage our water at an individual level, at an organizational level. We don't know how to manage water. That's the problem with our city today. The moment it was open ground, the water used to naturally drain in it. And the moment you concrete it, you better have other methods of recharging or sending water back to the ground. When you have 85% of our city covered with concrete, isn't it the most important priority for every building? So I come from an architecture background. The reason I started working for water conservation is also that from our own fraternity, we only look at the basic mandatory bylaws which the corporation asks us to and fulfill that as a number of pits, or if you're above 300 square yards, you need to do a rainwater pit. But we don't think beyond that. We have to start thinking today beyond that. Every community, every individual has to think, what is that water footprint? Water footprint is not only the visible water, it's also the clothes that you wear. You change your clothes 10 times and you run your washing machine twice or thrice every day. That's water. So water footprint is everywhere. The water that takes to manufacture your clothes is water. How mindfully you should be doing. Because tomorrow your coffee is going to cost you more simply because the water that to grow that coffee is going to go up. The cost of water is going to go up. So everything impacts us only. So we have to start working reverse and start understanding how to make this change. So as an enterprise, as an NGO, my effort the last more than 1.5 decades now is simply to create a neighborhood water locality. We tried working city-wide and understood it's very multi-layered and we have to get multiple organizations and connect with the government, community. Do you know who it is the toughest to work with? Not finding funds. not working with the government. The toughest is to work with the communities. It's funny, but it's true. Because when you ask anyone who is working at a grassroots level on ground, you will understand this is the truth. Even to make a lake happen, you're working with the wrong set of people who have encroached to do something right for the lake. Imagine that uphill battle. So the point is, we only talk about rights as a society. We don't talk about responsibilities or duties. I feel rights and duties have to be half and half. If you've done something right, you have every right to question. But you've not done anything right and you want to question, that doesn't work. We should go back to the basics and make water conservation part of our lives. Start understanding. It starts from quantifying what is the water we use as an individual, what is the water we use as a household. Then comes, once you quantify, that's the beginning to water conservation. And I really hope and wish everyone sitting here starts with this simple math. And what are the different kinds of water that you get into the home every day? Groundwater, manjira, which is municipal water. Then you have tanker water. Then you buy bubbled water because you want to drink very clean water. You think it's clean water. As an architect, I have now understood what all you call clean water is not safe water. Clean water is something else, safe water is something else. How many of us know that the fluoride levels in the city has gone up in the groundwater simply because we've gone deeper and deeper to find our water, but we refuse to put that rooftop water into the ground and kickstart your borewells. We as a 100-villa community in the heart of Gachibowli, which is the central business district of Hyderabad, we don't buy a single tanker because we harvest 1.4 crore liters of water and we are a 100-home colony. So that's the math. If you make enough efforts, you can become sustainable anywhere. But the point is we have to start working towards it. So it's really, we are thankful today that we have CSR and foundations which are powering up these restorations. It could be a lake restoration, it could be stepwells, it could be rainwater harvesting at scale. We need the CSR also. We need the government, we need CSR. We need communities most importantly because they should handhold the maintenance of such restorations. Because I feel it's meaningless to put efforts in a restoration of a lake or a stepwell or any such if it is going back to garbage. So right from the first project we made it a rule that if you don't have a mechanism to maintain or a handhold, we will not do that project. Because there's no point putting so much of activity in it. So today we've made efforts and we've successfully created templates where a Bansilal Pet kind of a restoration, which is one of our marquee restorations, from a dump yard. Today, can you guess, it can earn up to 10 lakh rupees. The site earns 10 lakh rupees in a month. And you know whose money? People's money. So people and behavior change can make this happen. The CSR gave money for restoration, but past that, people have to handhold it. Today from Bansilalpet, if you actually visit, you can drink the well water today. Because we took a small funding from Control-S. Control-S has powered us to create filtration plants. So you can drink well water. And this summer, when there was no drinking water in that colony here and there, few days, they come and fill their bottles in the Bansilalpet, the step well where we have a point. They fill the water and they are using it. That means what? Local water. A neighborhood, if you restore a well, the whole neighborhood, up to 200 plus bore wells can be revived because it is a system. It opens up like a bucket holding huge amount of rainwater. Today with climate change, you need these large systems in place which can hold huge amount of water quickly. And what does it in your own home? Your own rooftops. But what we do, we systematically take it into the drainage systems which are already like struggling there, and then we put huge amount of wastewater which we don't treat. More than 70 homes, it is a mandate to treat water in your own homes or in your own apartments. How many of us even implement this? So everyone suffers water, and this year we have brought the maximum amount of tankers. In just few months, we have bought some 8 lakh tankers across the city. It's not required. We had huge amount of rainfall. The last few rainfall, what did you do? Simply connect the rooftop water with a filter that you can find on Amazon today, connect it to your sump, overflow from that sump, make a pit around your own borewell and connect it to the borewell. So you become zero discharge. This activity takes only 1 day and needs your time. Connect with your local plumber, mason and do it. This doesn't take too much of time. If you do this, you have enough water in your sumps, you have enough water for reuse because rain doesn't happen every day. All the non-rainy days you can reuse this water. Why am I talking about simple action on ground? Because this 1.5 crore people in the city today, 20 lakh people, 10 lakh people do something right, it will impact the city at large. We'll not have to fight the flood waters on the roads, sitting in cars for hours together, literally breaking our family lives because we don't spend time either at home or at work and you're sitting on the roads. This is our own doing. Imagine if each road, all of the buildings do rainwater harvesting and become zero discharge. You do your own recycling of wastewater. How much water is going to be on the roads? Much lesser. But every year, the urban flooding is increasing because of the river water that we get is increased. That gets converted to wastewater. Rainwater, no one cares to harvest. That is on the roads. So we are creating like a Jawahar Nagar is a very good example for the waste. We've created a Jawahar Nagar, but we will not do something called segregation in your own homes. How many of us here do wet waste and dry waste segregation? We don't address the problem at a small unit and we create a mountain of the problem and we are the largest landfill, 4th largest landfill in the world. It's a very sad thing to be pointed out like that. We shouldn't. And all of that Jawahar Nagar, all of this population is responsible. Each one of us is responsible. 50 villages have no good groundwater. They get black water from the leachate of the Jawahar Nagar. 5 lakes have become black water lakes. Government has to supply water there in spite of good groundwater because it's all leachate. And each one of us is responsible for that leachate. Whoever is sending waste to Jawahar Nagar, you are responsible. So we should take up responsibility. We should start behavior change from an individual and an household to make an impact for the city, for the state and also to the country.
Thank you, Kalpana ji. That was wonderful actually. Can we all give a big hand actually? Such a wonderful thought process. Today, when we talk about living, without water we cannot live, right? So scientifically, if you work, simple step, what Kalpana ji said, very, very simple steps if you follow, you need not to depend upon that. And I'm coming to the, Jawahar Nagar, the waste dump yard, but the water is precious. We are already a water stressed nation from 2012. Any country which draws more than 20% and above water withdrawal from the ground, that is called a water stressed nation. We are drawing more than 40% of the water. And we are really in a bad company like Kenya and Tanzania, that kind of. So it's going to be a huge problem from 2030 onwards. If this is the way, if it goes, so we might even have water wars. So the excellent solution-based approach the madam has given, I'm sure you must have noted down. Then we also talked about the waste. Correct. We can also, there are 2 matrices I wanted to give before I go to a used case study of the Iskcon. Corporates, typically you might think that waste reduction. Waste reduction is one aspect, guys. But the problem is today, I can give Singapore example or the Japan example, but I want to give India's very own example of Indore city. In Indore, we are segregating the waste. We have become that disciplined just because of one visionary bureaucrat came in 2017 and then he has also put some fines. Indore has paid around more than 4 crores fine in 2024 alone. Discipline. Segregation is the key to all our, the O's. Today, the waste dumped everywhere. The waste dumping yards are becoming a huge pile-up and the huge methane emissions, which are very dangerous, and there is no space. So there are two matrices which I am suggesting today to corporates. At homes, of course, you will segregate. I mean, I remember GHMC has given 3 bins, right? 2 bins to us 3 years back or 4 years back. We are not doing it. Still, there is a large gap in most of our cities. So at least start emulating the indoor model. And indoor today, as I speak to you, they are almost 95% of the waste they are segregating, and it is called WTE. What is that? Waste to energy. They are again incinerating to energy, and then they're using that energy back to the community works and community services. So there is huge potential for the waste. So I'm coming, one more indices what you can take for the waste reduction is that you can take the waste diversion from the landfill as one of the target. One is the waste intensity reduction, per person waste reduction, which we all have to work. Second is the waste diversion from the landfill. So your waste is going, your corporate, you are also, every day your wet waste and dry waste you are segregating and giving. That's all. You think that wet waste is getting composted, and now that the solid waste management rules have come, 2026, in a year's time from now, we will also start, the rule says we will also be fined. So we need to have composting facilities on our own in our campuses. If your CFO is not there, the CFOs will also be clearly mentioning. Already a CTO and CFO is mentioning your consent for operation I'm talking about. You should have your own composting facilities, huge campuses, and then if not, you can ask the builder. And of course, the government, GHMC has got the composting facilities, but it will not be sufficient. We need to have our own composting, that is number one. Number two, the other waste, the dry waste is a gold actually. It has got a lot of potential. If you segregate properly, then a lot of recycling content which comes. No more the 3 terms of reduce, recycle and reuse. We are in an age we need to do 9 R's. Repurpose, reconstruct, reuse, a lot of redesign, lot of things which are coming. It's a different topic, circular economy. But yes, now how are we use cases, sustainability we need to use. It's not only environmentally we are sustainable, and socially we are working on, labor laws, no child labor, okay, all the EHS compliance is in place, and all the fair wages, and then governance, we have a very good governance. We have a board member, female members in the board, and there is a good, that's all good, and that is a requirement. But how do we measure that? You also need to measure your ESG, progress through sustainable reporting. As I speak to you, more and more countries are, asking, it is going to be mandatory. In our own country, we have a mandate for the first 1,000 listed companies to report our, all our environmental, whatever we are doing it on an environmental front. That's called BRSR reporting. Okay, first 1,000 listed companies is already mandatory. In Europe, it is already CSRD reporting. In US, all this different, and like California has got already, they have mandatory requirements. So the future is, it's not only just voluntary report, the future is going to be mandatory reporting. So sustainability reporting needs a lot of scientific, data collection. That's what we are talking about. Having that kind of a, inclination towards doing, understanding, how do we, capture, how do we measure? When you measure, when you monitor, then you can mitigate also. So the use case in this case, so I now request Nitai, Jivana Das from Iskcon. They are doing wonderful work. They are self-sustainable. They have sponsored so many villages. And the ESG story we can hear from the use case. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Shareef ji. Thank you so much, the co-panelists, Kalpana ji and Annamayya ji, and thank you all of you all for coming here today. You all have heard about Iskcon. It's very popular, but not many know about what Iskcon is doing in relation to ESG. You may be surprised as well that how come Iskcon is a part of a panel discussion for an ESG platform, because we only hear about Krishna temple. But as Kalpana ji was mentioning, that nobody needs to give us a policy or a forum or a law in the country to be individually responsible. And that's what Swami Prabhupada, the founder of Iskcon, back in 1966, so this year Iskcon is celebrating the 60th anniversary of its establishment. And since then he had the vision, in late 60s he had the vision of being environmentally responsible, also responsible socially, and have a governance. So all these aspects do start from an individual. They don't start at a broader level, say a country or a body, and then it flows down, but it starts at an individual level. So one man who had the vision to not just be disrespectful to Mother Earth. In Shastra it is mentioned as Prakriti. Prakriti is our mother and the father is our supreme lord. So if we, like we all stay happily at home with our father and mother when we are respectful to them, correct? Similarly, Mother Earth, our Prakriti, if we take care of her nicely, then automatically it also yields back to us accordingly. So this is the vision that even Swami Prabhupada had in the late 60s, which is carried on by Iskcon across the world. So it's not something that because it's a Companies Act law and we want to comply to it for funding. No. Since day one of Iskcon's establishment, this is our grassroots activities that Iskcon has been doing, not just in India, but across the world. Iskcon has a lot of farm communities. Like Annamayya ji mentioned that about simple living. There's a famous quote of Srila Prabhupada. It says, simple living and high thinking. How do you develop that? You can see in my attire also. It is absolutely wearing a cloth which is depicts simplicity. Like Kalpana ji mentioned, water footprint is not about just calculating the dynamics of how much water you are saving, but even the cloth that you wear, how many times you wear, the number of times you purchase a new cloth. So all these things go to show that Iskcon as an organization from day one has been conscious about it. And we wish to be conscious in future as well. In India, as I mentioned, Iskcon has many farm communities. Govardhan Eco Village in Palghar is one of the most landmark projects of Iskcon, where I will just highlight one of these projects because we have rainwater harvesting in each of our projects. But Govardhan Eco Village has 110 million liters of water reservation capacity, which happens every year. And that's 150 acres of land. Now, this is not for an individual or an organization. This is for the entire community because we are responsible. Okay, we are responsible. We are not responsible for our own selves. We are not responsible for our own organization. We are responsible for the entire community that is there, living in that village, living in that zilla, living in that district. But only when we become conscious of it. And like that, across the world, whether it's North America, South America, whether it's Europe, Brazil, Australia, anywhere you name it. How many of you know what is the national occupation of India? We all are Indians, right? What is the national occupation of India? Anyone? No one would like to answer. What is the national occupation of India? Huh? Loudly. Agriculture. 40 to 45% of our occupation naturally is based on agriculture, and the economy runs on agriculture. Jab bhi, we have this drought or less rainwater expected, we are worried about the economy. Why? What it has to do with our economy? Because the entire occupation of India, majority is dependent upon agriculture. And this agriculture, Iskcon is just not providing in India, or the training on agriculture is just not provided in India, but in the Western countries as well, where agriculture is not the major occupation, where industrialization, IT, services is the main occupation. So, as an organization, as an individual, as Srila Prabhupada, one individual, Kalpana ji mentioned, it's an individual responsibility. One individual who took up this seriously, that yes, Mother Nature, Prakriti has to be, we have to be considerate towards her, we have to protect her. There can be a revolution, and that's the revolution that you see today. The Iskcon has more than 600 centers across the world, out of which 30% of them are farm communities. 30% of them are farm communities. And one very similar project, we are coming up in Telangana, not very far from Hyderabad, 2 hours at Sirsilla, Nerala Sirsilla. We have a 21 acres of farmland coming up. I would invite all of you to visit that. It's going to be a completely green project. So please welcome to that facility. And thank you so much, Shareef ji, for giving us this opportunity to present this case study of Iskcon, how from an individual person in his 70s, not when you are young, So even in his late 70s, when you wind up and you hang your boots, decided to start a worldwide organization. Thank you so much.
We can go on and go on talking on environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and the overall how we do implement. But yes, the trigger is already been given to you. So the future is, how a country has, to progress. You cannot only talk about profit maximization. You have to take your environmental footprint into account, into your books. That's the, and I just, if I have time, maybe one sentence or one thought from each one of you. Kalpana ji.
I think one line I want to say is the United Nations declared, in 2018, a water action decade. From 2018 to 2028, whatever you do in whichever part of the world, that will be the future of tomorrow. Now we are in 2026. We don't see anyone working on war footing for water. At least please consider the next 2 years. Whatever you can activate as an individual or a few friends around you or your companies, please set that ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Annamayya.
So only one thing I want to tell to each and every individual. April 1st is the days for solid waste management rules. It's clearly saying targeting the bulk waste generators. The people who generate 100 kgs of waste consumes more than 5,000 KLD of water and 20,000 square feet of area. This comes under bulk waste generators. There are a lot of penalties going to be charged. Pollution Control Board, NGT, collectors and municipal administrations are the things. For this entire scenario, like Sir has mentioned the indoor model, the only one thing has changed the entire dimension of indoor is enforcement. Overnight, the commissioner has suspended more than 1,800 workers who are not in a position to segregate it. The people are same. Last but not the least, waste has to be categorized into 4. First one is wet. It should be with the color of green. Second one is dry. It should be in the color of blue. Third one is sanitary. It should be in the color of red. Fourth one is a new one. It's a special care waste. Unfortunately, government, when you request for segregation, everybody raising the hands. First you give me the bins. When I'm going for the inspection, people are using to store the groceries and putting in front of the duster, which is very bad sign. Now, to remember the concept of waste management, you need 3 concepts: emotion, color, feeling. Repeat the word: emotion, feeling. With the 3 things, we have to do something for our society. Start rethinking of your habits. Treat the municipal workers like your family members. Try to greet them. Have a good spend. Wherever you go, don't buy simply 20 rupees of water bottle. Just ask, please give me 1 glass of water. In the simple actions, we can ensure a sustainable living of sustainable Hyderabad. Rather than switching back to Delhi, the condition is very bad. With a similar lay, entire Ramky Foundation and Ramky Sustainability has changing the entire waste collection vehicles into EV to reduce the footprint. This is what from my end.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really. And the last parting few words from Nitai, Jivana, just.
Yeah, because we are talking about water so much, there's a very famous line from the Bhagavad Gita which says, Raso aham apsu kaunteya. Krishna says, I am the taste of water. So water is very, very important. Let's not waste water as well as the presence of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think, we all really, enjoyed talking to you and interacting. I think, I'm sure there are many questions we can take offline. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all the panel, to all the moderators for enlightening us, for thinking for something that is beyond our horizon also. To Kalpana ma'am, the Jal hero, including the rainwater harvesting project that she was doing all while. And also Nitai Jivana Das sir, for the Chief CSR Officer at Iskcon, for the conscious living spread of Krishna. Thank you so much for all the teachings. And the moderator sir, we have JSR Annamayya. Thank you so much for all your insights, and that was a great panel discussion. We look forward to network with you all post this session. Thank you so much.